It's getting cold.
Yeah. So, but with getting cold, we get into the fall market, which does the opposite than the weather and heats up. You see how well coordinated and planned that was?
It wasn't coordinated or planned at all, but good
improv. All right, that's my bit. You carry on.
Over.
I've crushed this. See you later.
Yeah, we're going into the fall market. We're in the fall market now.
Yeah.
And
yeah, we're in the fall market, and we're already starting to see that fall market change. So to summarize it up, we're talking about the fall market is upon us. It's here, and things are gearing up. So those of you who don't know, fall and spring tend to typically be two of the best times of the year to buy or sell property. And we've, given with what happened with July and August, there's been some increased activity, back to more regular levels, I think was one of the quotations. And this September's looking to be, we don't know until the stats are released, of course, for just over another week now, but September looks to be pretty positive so far as well, and activity all across the board.
Yeah, so if you've been watching, May was the first month of increased sales, diluted listing numbers. Then June kind of hovered and stayed buoyant, and then
June decreased.
June decreased for both. Did it increase in listings though? It decreased in sales numbers.
Decreased in sales numbers, increased in listings.
Okay, so May.
Yep.
June spiked, listing count, sales down.
Yep.
And then activity-wise, July and August were activity up, listing inventory down.
Home buyer demand increased while inventory came down. Correct.
Yes. So now I feel, as I assume you do, that September is going to continue that trend.
Well, it's going to be interesting if it does, because when July happened, everyone was saying, it's a dead cat bounce, it's a one-off, and so eager eyes were on August, and then August said the same thing, and then people were starting to, I guess, pay more attention to it, and people were saying, no, it's still going to go down. So if September follows suit, then that's 3 months, that's a quarter of increased home buyer demand activity. Again, not saying that that's going to push our pricing upwards at all, but it's more so going to confirm that we are now playing in a balanced market. So that's going to be interesting.
And I mean, in the mindset, I think most importantly, we can assume, maybe not everyone can, tell us your thoughts on if you can assume this yet, but is it safe now if there is a full quarter, 3 months of increased sales activity, is it assumed that we have hit a bottom of our sinking phase that we've seen for the last year and a half?
Yeah, September seems to have, from the activity that we can gauge from kind of being on the front lines, seems to have definitely shown that. I mean, activity has been up, not just in terms of sales, but at the start of the year, it wasn't uncommon for a realtor to do an open house this Saturday and Sunday, have 0 groups come through, maybe 1 group come through. The last few weeks have seen all across the board, like whether you're selling a $500,000 condo in downtown versus a $2 million condo out in the house out in the Tri-Cities, it seems to be activity has picked up massively with like people getting between 10, 20 groups on some coming through and checking out, and not just the activity, but people are then asking for documents, and then there's offers, and now competing in a multiple offer scenario or something, selling it in the first week or few weeks doesn't seem out of the ordinary anymore. It's definitely not the common trend. However, when you hear it, you're not so shocked as you were before. So
yeah, we've seen in downtown a variety of multiple offer situations. Now, surprisingly, these multiple offers, even up to 4 offers up the street here, the prices aren't necessarily shooting way past list price, but there's a lot of activity, but I'd say it's conscious activity. It's not, okay, let's just throw money at the problem sort of thing like we were seeing before. People are still very realistic on keeping the price within a bracket, but within that realistic market value range, we're seeing multiple offers. So I think that's a very good first sign, again, that there's stability, as we've said a whole way along, in any price bracket. If you price properly, you're going to get activity. But multiple offer activity is a really nice reassurance to see in these brackets for sellers.
Yeah, I think you touched on a really, really good point there, because buyer activity has shown us that yes, you can look at multiple offers, you can sell fast, but it has definitely backed up the idea that buyers are still not willing to pay over ask. So if you're thinking this added activity, these quick fire sales are going to allow you to place above market, and you're just going to try and catch the market as it goes back up, the buyer activity shows that's not the case. Your property will still sit there, it will not sell, and people will just walk on by, because although there's not the as high amounts of inventory as we've seen, there is still enough to choose from. So if you are pricing yourself out of the market, it has shown, although the increase in activity has come along, buyers will just move on because there is another opportunity out there. And if you are priced accurately, you'll start seeing this activity that we're then talking about.
Yeah, and I think, again, like we've said all the way along, no matter if the market's going this way or that way, if you are priced accurately, you will get attention. Mm-hmm. And I think this increase in sales velocity finally is showing that sellers have come down to reality and started to price more commonly at market value range.
Yeah.
And buyers are right there to get the job done because money's still cheap and there's still belief in the market, obviously. That is increasing as well. Mm-hmm. But it all comes back to, if you listen to your agent and they're going to price to market value, and that's where your expectations are realistically that you'll sell. Yeah,
I think that pretty much sums it up across the board. We've seen an increase in everything. So then from activity to sales to lower inventory, higher sales amounts. So it'll be interesting to see what those figures are in the next week or so. But it definitely seems like the full market is here and upon us, typically going into a busier time. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over that period and what change that has. And don't forget, guys, when we're talking about a change of market, we're not talking about going from a buyer's market straight to a high seller's market. We're talking about it balancing out. And there's a lot of talk still about obviously the macroeconomics and that affects and what it's going to have on the market. But until those things actually start coming into effect, this is basically what we're dealing with right now. I'm currently being blinded from the sun up here.
Yeah, it's bright.
So squinting extremely awkwardly. But I think that pretty much sums it up. The full market seems to be here.
Yeah, and I think my forecast for either the September numbers or the October numbers, I think we're going to see increased sales numbers, but I also think we're going to see increased inventory, because I think as people see more and more stuff going and more comparables to their homes going when they're sitting in these listing presentations with their agent, stuff is actually selling, we're going to see more people coming on.
Yeah.
And hopefully, like the trend has continued, they're going to come on a lot closer to the reality of market value than they have been over the last year, and stuff will continue to sell.
That's it. Okay, guys, thanks for tuning in this week. As always, drop us any questions you may have. If you find value from these, please do like, subscribe.
Tell your friends. Tell your mother.
Tell your friends, tell someone. That's the only fee that we charge for this. So, that sound. We've just been distracted by everything. Yeah, I'm like a shiny objects mode today. Anyway, take care, guys. Until next week. Bye-bye.